If you're a property investor who's hit their borrowing capacity limit, here's a hack which will allow you to continue to scale your property portfolio even when the banks may not lend you any money right now. So every property investor eventually will hit a borrowing capacity limit if they do not continue to increase their income, which then gives them the ability to borrow more money and purchase more property. But there is a way that you can actually increase your borrowing capacity by not necessarily having to increase your earned income, but by just simply increasing your rental income. So the way that we do that is we build a lot of second dwellings or granny flats on existing properties, which we call the YAM strategy, which is the Yield Accelerator method. And essentially what that allows us to do is go back to an existing property that we potentially hold in our portfolio already that has the ability to build a granny flat or a dual occupancy, get an approval in place for that dwelling, and then take that approval and a signed building contract back to the bank or your mortgage broker. And what they will do is they will get you something called an as-if complete valuation. Essentially what that means is the bank will look at the property and essentially assess the valuation as if that second dwelling or granny flat was already built. Now that's both from a value point of view and from the rental income point of view that it will produce once it's complete. Let's say you've got a property that's worth $1 million. You need to spend $250,000 to build a second dwelling, and you think it's going to be worth $1.35 million once it's complete. So the bank will say, okay, well, it's worth $1.35 million once it's complete. You need $250,000 to build the second dwelling. We will lend you 80% of that $1.35 million, which is the completed valuation. And as long as you've got enough equity in the property, which essentially is the gap between your current debt and the 80% of that $1.35 million, they will then lend you that amount of money to build the granny flat. And the way that you will then get the serviceability to get the increased borrowing for that amount of money, because remember, you are capped from a serviceability point of view, is because that second dwelling or the granny flat will add a huge amount of rental income to your situation. Generally, they're adding $500 to $700 per week in rental income to your situation. That usually gives people enough serviceability just simply from that rental income to then give them the borrowing capacity to then be able to go and build that second dwelling. So you don't need to increase your earned income at all. You don't need to decrease your debt. You simply just need to get an approval in place, take that approval to your bank or broker. That will then give you the ability to get an as-if complete valuation done, which then gives you the projected rental income, which will then hopefully give you the ability to go and build that second dwelling, which will increase the value of the property, increase your rental income, and then increase your overall portfolio holding.